Hey guys, we've got a Terran versus Terran setup today. We have this episode being called The Art of Siege Warfare. We start off with some good lucks and have funs. One of us won't be having fun this game. Similar APMs to start out the match. I mean, it's Terran versus Terran. How much can you really be doing? He lowers the supply depot. No forward supply depot here. Gets his barracks. Gets a factory. He's got his 2 refineries, building his other supply depot, just scouting with his SCV. Meanwhile, I've got my 2 supply depots. I've got my factory. I'm building an engineering bay because I've got the money and I'm afraid of the Banshee rush. So I'm going to keep up with that. I've upgraded to my orbital command. I'm placing down the tech lab, placing down the starport, getting ready to go Banshees against my Terran opponent. Now, I am building Marines just in case he does the Reaper rush to me, just like I like to do to my opponents. I've found out that 3 Marines is good enough to take out a couple Reapers, so that's usually where I go and I stop at. He's also getting his starport. He's also got his 2 Marines. He's pumping out his first siege tank, and he is doing a much better job, well, not as good of a job with the supply depots compared to me. We've got 28 out of 39 and 31 out of 31. I'm landing my starport, I'm building my SCVs, I've got my first missile turret down, and I start the Banshee and I start the cloak. I've rebuilt the tech lab on the factory so I can pump out a siege tank as soon as I get the money. And I've got my Marines here. I'm just trying to save up a little bit of money so that I can get my command center and then eventually harass with the Banshee. Those 2 timings usually work out. So I'm pumping out my siege tank. I'm getting a tech lab because I'm on the north base, so I actually have this side for the tech lab, whereas he couldn't if he put it there. He's starting his command center, and he's also sending his first forces out. He's got a siege tank and 4 Marines against my 4 Marines and my siege tank, which is going to be built. He's got a Viking on the way too, which was coming out a little bit faster than my Banshee because, of course, he did not have to get the tech lab, but still a little bit faster. A huge unforced error on my part. I have the waypoint for my starport to set down and rally this way, and just bad timing. He catches it with the Viking and the 4 Marines. The Banshee harass was going to be doing pretty good, guys. I mean, he did not have... He's throwing down the engineering bay now. He did not have it before, and I would have been doing good. Here he goes. He's sieged up with his 4 Marines, knowing that I can't have too many more. He throws his Marines. They get smoked too. He's got the Viking. He's got the extra vision. I can't do it. I see that he's doing it. I've got my other command center going up. He's got his much closer. I'm throwing down additional supply depots because I know that he's got this one and he's going to start sieging us out. I build a Marauder because I don't know what I'm thinking. And quickly, I'm losing the HP on this barracks. I should have lifted it off to have sight of this Viking. We have a Viking on Viking battle here, which we both lose and die. I should have repaired that with those 2 SCVs. And again, he replaces it. He's got the rally point set to send them all over to here. He's got 2 siege tanks. I've got 2 siege tanks. He starts moving up the siege. He's got so much extra vision because of this Viking. I have no choice but to throw down 2 more barracks and start pumping out Vikings and more siege tanks. But as you know, once you've got air superiority, at this point he's got 3 Vikings. I need at least 3 Vikings to combat that. I've only got my 1. I've got some turrets, and I think I'm going to be sneaky. You guys know me about loading up the command center and being sneaky with this. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe he can think and ease on the brakes, thinking that, okay, he's got me stumped here on 1 base, and this will be just a slow, meticulous siege push for him to get his units and his bases up and running. So you can see that I've got my 1 Viking here, and now I take out this siege tank. Okay, I'm making progress, but I still have not moved this command center. I have not microed this out. There's just too much going on, guys. I'm focused on the fights. I send my Viking out just to get sight. Again, another misclick, throwing him right into 2 Vikings. Meanwhile, he's now got 3 siege tanks with no real protection. I mean, it's just Vikings. So I throw down another turret just so if he sends up his Vikings, I can have some defense. I finally set down this command center to try and get some mining going. And I throw down another starport because I've got to start competing with these Vikings. I've got to get air superiority. You can see here he's starting to build a turret. a missile turret to prepare for the inevitable siege. I mean, he's got, what, 3 Vikings, 3 siege tanks, and a missile turret. This is going to be a very hard defense to break. Try and lure the Vikings. I do end up getting one. And I have this guy set on auto repair, which ended up saving him just a little bit. And that last missile did not kill him. But meanwhile, he's doing the same thing. He's got his repair SCV. I've got mine. He is on 2 bases with 36 harvesters, and I only have my 5 because I'm just not producing the SCVs. And this base is super saturated. I'm throwing down supply depots. Way a little too many given how much money I have and how much supply I actually needed. I'm throwing down a 3rd command center because I think maybe I can ward off the siege in this base here and trick him into getting complacent and building up my forces maybe somewhere else. I also, for some reason, throw down yet another command center. I'm just sitting on too many minerals. I didn't know what to do, but I thought the more bases I have, the more areas he has to inevitably hunker down and try and siege up for. I've got my 2 Vikings here to try and pick off his, but he's got 3 versus 2. We both know who's going to win there. They need a little bit more repairs. And again, I'm just not building enough. I guess I'm too distracted on the macro game here to be continuing on the air defense, which really hurt me. He's building up the forces. We've got 5 Vikings and 5 siege tanks and 2 missile turrets. This is quite the siege to break, but I mean, on the back end, I'm already ahead. I've got 1 command center, 2 command center, 3 command center, 4 command center. I mean, I can pull this off if I just macro and micro correctly. But we can see here he's going all in on the Viking production here. Double reactor starports, that's all he's building. He just wants siege tanks and Vikings, and he is pumping them out. We've got a Widow Mine and a Cyclone for air defense here. He is digging in to my frontal base here. Meanwhile, I've got my 4 siege tanks. I mean, this is not a small position by any means. I've got my 5 Vikings. If I play this right, I can definitely break through. I group them up to try and get a little bit of repairs. Again, I'm not spending my money correctly. I'm too focused on the battle. We can see where my camera is. I'm getting started to hear more turrets because, good question, I don't know why. Meanwhile, I have yet another command center floating, but I don't know what to do with it. I'm too scared of revealing it, and I'm back at my base. Oh, now I realize that I'm not building any Vikings, so I throw some more Vikings down. I throw some more Marines and stuff, and I'm trying to bait out anything I can. The Cyclone actually doing a lot of damage, 14, and it's just launching those missiles. I'm trying to whittle this away and trying to think, how do you break a siege tank line? I'm not really clear. I mean, I especially once I've seen these Widow Mines, how do you assault this position? You can brute force it, but even with the brute force, I mean, it's still, I'd be losing a lot of guys there. I lose a Viking. I can't be losing Vikings. And I don't know why I decided to go dropship. And look at this, sitting on so much money. Meanwhile, he is producing on the back end nonstop. He's got both factories going. He's got his 3rd up, even though it's not fully saturated. But we're tied on harvesters. We're pre-tied on income. It's not over yet. He's got a Viking up here who now finds his command center. Meanwhile, he's throwing down some barracks here. And I drop my Marines because I got to clean this up. I can't let him pin me into this top base. I have to be able to survive here. Meanwhile, he's building more missile turrets here, and now he's sending a small force to basically hold me off. I mean, I needed to be moving some siege tanks and some other units down here because the Marines are just not enough. He lands the Vikings, which is too much for these Marines. I needed more Marines. I needed more everything in this game. And I was not building and moving effectively. Meanwhile, he sieges out my planetary. There's nothing I can do. I could have sworn I told these guys to repair, but once they get to full, I think they stop repairing. Try to repair here. Can I beat? I don't think I can beat siege. I mean, it seems like they're doing damage. Meanwhile, he's hitting the missile turret, so I land here. I've got this little base, and I'm still trying to just move up just a little bit. The siege tank taking out the Widow Mine so we can start breaking down this siege. But he's got so many Vikings, so many siege tanks, but both of us still with so much money, distracted by the micro. I land these Marines for support, but I didn't realize that they were being shot at by the siege tanks. I lose that squadron of Marines, and I come in with these Vikings. Once again, another misclick. Look at this. 10 Vikings easily cleans up the 5 Vikings I have. I think he realizes he's got the advantage. I mean, battle-wise, he's got Let's see the active forces here. He's just got way more. I haven't taken out enough siege tanks, and he is just pumping out Vikings, at which point he just landed them, which is a pretty good strategy. I mean, they're not bad on the ground. He's got the armor for both of them. He's got the damage, and he's taken out my command centers. I've got to collect myself, regroup, build enough units so that I can push him back. I mean, I've got the money. I don't see why I can't do this. I've got the command center still. I'm not that far behind. If I just siege up, take out his forces, reestablish the natural, maybe, just maybe, I have a chance of winning this. Meanwhile, he's doing the Viking siege tank on the corner and taking out my barracks, and just don't lift it off in time. Throw down another command center because I know I'm going to need it. He, again, just still has way more Vikings than me, taking them out, and another Widow Mine that's going to end up doing some serious damage. He sieges up on the low ground here, doesn't quite have the sight, but I really should have scanned to get rid of these spider mines. They've got the drilling claws, so I don't even see them when they fire. He's not doing enough to siege me out here, and I'm ready to move this command center plus another command center once I reestablish this base. But you can see I'm running out of money. I've got this one pitiful mineral patch left. I need to make it happen here. I need to get into a position where I can win and overcome this Viking force, because he's doing such a bad job of spending, such a bad job of supply management. He's got so much army on me, and I go in and 4 siege tanks. It's too big of a wall. I'm kind of pissed off that this one is like somehow just out of range, yet for his they were just within range and got mine, which kind of fucked me over. And at this point I throw in the towel because I just didn't have enough money and I didn't have a way to break the siege tank line. I really credit this loss to losing that Banshee at the start, because it just really, it was devastating. He had no defense for it. To show you a little bit of what it was supposed to look like, I've got another follow-up game. This one significantly shorter, not as much casting to do. You've got me in the blue corner and Kelvin Klein in the red corner. Same build. I'm determined that I watch the replay right after I lose, and I'm losing that Banshee. I mean, if I had had Cloak, I could have taken out the siege tanks. I could have taken out the Marines. I could have taken out that natural, and I would have been fine. But because the Cloak wasn't ready, and because I sent him down south instead of east, I lose any ability to be able to harass with the Banshee or even help out my own forces. But this time, lesson learned, I send him directly south. There are no watchtowers. I make sure he can't see me. What was not seen earlier was that he did a double Reaper harass, and I had my 3 Marines, and I had this factory built, and I didn't have a siege tank up yet, so I was like, you know what? Let me just build a Hellion. I mean, they do more damage against light, they're faster, and they're pretty good. And meanwhile, you know, I'm throwing up the command center here. He's got his just finished, but not doing anything with it. I'm building mine. I'm saturating my natural, throwing down the barracks. I'm getting ready for the macro on the back end. Meanwhile, I mean, he just transfers over. He's got more SCVs than me, more APM, you know, a few more harvesters, but nothing too significant. But this is where I take it from him, and this is exactly what I was trying to do earlier. Cloak just finishes. You can see my mineral and gas spending way better than his, and I come in. I don't think he's got any forces to actually attack, so I don't even start wasting the Cloak yet. But you can see I'm hitting the attack command so that I'm not accidentally hitting army forces. He uses a scan. Okay, I know exactly how that is. I'm Terran too. I'm just going to move down to the place where you don't have a scan. Super frustrating if you don't have an engineering bay. You take out his mule. Oh, you just scanned again? I'm going to go right back. I'm going to go right back, and I'm going to start killing all these guys so that I don't have to move my forces, and so that I don't stop, so that I don't accidentally attack more army. I've got my base ready. I'm macroing. I'm going to lift off, get these SCVs down there, start building my reactor and tech lab. And I'm going to start building my forces so I can prepare for the counterattack. And I am just sniping an endless amount of SCVs. He goes to build the Eng Bay, and thankfully my Banshee takes the one guy out, so he can't build it. It's not going to be built. I still have 11 energy, which is good for a few more kills. I'm realizing this now. He's dodging a lot of, not on purpose of course, but he's dodging a lot of damage just by going into the refinery. So guys, win and a loss to show you that I don't win them all, and also one single misclick can be the difference between a loss and a victory. Till next time, go with Christ.